Hey, this is the Brent Dyson Show.
Hey, check it out.
Welcome to the Brent Dyson Show.
Hey,
This is Brent Dyson.
come on.
This is Brent Dyson.
Hey.
Hey guys, I want to welcome you guys back to the Brent Dyson Show. We're super excited about the guest today. I mean, he's a phenomenal comedian, celebrity, actor. This guy is very, very funny. So when you guys get an opportunity, if you have not seen him, go and see his show. Today, I want to welcome Trey Elliott. How you doing, man?
What up, man? How you doing, brother?
How's it going? Good to see you, man.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
That's
yes,
what's
sir.
up. That's what's up. So Trey, man, how's it coming from New Jersey back to LA? How was that transition? How did you transition from LA to from New Jersey to LA?
LA. Oh man, it was a long journey. I've been to so many places in between in
Right.
Jersey to LA, but I'm born and raised there in Jersey.
Okay.
So
How was it growing up in Jersey?
that was cool. My Jersey life was good, man. I grew up in the small projects called Potter's Crossing, which is in Edison, New Jersey. So
Okay.
I actually grew up with Pam from Total.
What?
Pam was my neighbor from Total.
That's
yeah,
what's up.
yeah, man.
How was
So,
it? Y'all had a friendship or how
we
was
was
it?
cool. Yeah, we were neighbors. She was like yes, that was like sis. right
Yeah.
there. Yeah. She would run around the neighborhood singing all the time, and
You never tried to hook up with her?
No, she was older than me. So she was full because she was 3 years older than Kim. So she was like 4 or 5 years older than me.
Okay.
But the whole family lived right next door to each other, man. So it was good. It was a good neighborhood, man. It was a close-knit neighborhood, you know, and that was the project that I grew up in. Then when my mom got remarried, I moved to a city called Plainfield.
Okay.
But my grandmother still stayed in the hood. So I would live in the hood to go to the better school.
Right.
And where I had a nice house on the weekends, I would go there on the weekends and stay. But their school systems wasn't as good as the one that was next to the hood. So it was kind of like ironic, you know what I mean? So I'm like the opposite Fresh Prince type of situation. Like I had to go to the hood to go to the best school. Had to live in the hood to go to the better school.
What?
You know what I mean? And
My mom lived in Hackensack, New Jersey.
I know
How far is that?
Hackensack is more north.
Okay.
More northern, so that's kind of on the, close to New York. That's very
Okay.
close to the city. Yeah.
So you come from the East Coast and then you go to Atlanta.
I go to Atlanta for college, Clark Atlanta University.
What? HBCU?
HBCU.
So you
man.
represent?
I represented. I didn't know anything about an HBCU until my sister, who was 3 years older than me, she had went to Hampton.
Okay.
So I did everything she did.
Okay.
I molded my whole whatever after her, except I was bad. She was really good, but I do everything she did when I was bad while I was doing it. But she went to Hampton, and I didn't know what a HBCU was until she went there. So I was like, oh, she going to a HBCU. I want to go to a HBCU. So I was like, well, what do I want to do? And I knew I wanted to do something with like TV, film. I wanted to go to school to direct. So I was like, where did Spike Lee go? He was the director that I like, and I found out he went to Morehouse. So I was like, I'm going to go to Morehouse.
Which is right next door.
Yeah, but then I started doing more and more research, and they was like, well, he took his classes at Clark. And I was like, so I saw Clark. I was like, I don't know if I want to do an all-guys school. I said, yo, I want to do Clark.
Right.
That was the only college I applied to. I was like, if I don't get in here, I ain't going nowhere.
What about the AU Center?
Oh, man, the whole AUC Center, man, it was dope. Like, just being at Clark, that changed my life.
Yeah.
For the better. Like, first of all, I met some of my closest friends. I call my friends my brothers because that's how close we are. I met them, and you know, they say the people you meet in college are the people that will be with you for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
A lot of the times, and I was fortunate enough to find a good group of people, man, who to this day I call my brothers, and just that experience, man, of living with 5 guys. And
Five?
It was 5
Y'all
of
were
us.
deep.
We was deep, man. And just that Black experience, man. It was 15-1 on campus.
Oh, who you
15
telling?
women.
I used to live in Atlanta. It was,
Bruh. I'm
That
like,
was-
I've never seen so many Black beautiful women in my life. And every day I would go on campus and see like 10 new people. Like, yo, where y'all come from?
Right.
Yeah. so
And let
it
me
was
tell you
dope.
about my experience. I grew up, I went to a PWI though. You know, and
Okay.
I played college baseball for 2 years there.
There you
And I was
go.
like, okay, you know what? Where's the Black school at? And the Alabama State was like right next door. So every day at 12
Uh-huh.
o'clock, I was at Alabama State.
Really?
So you know why?
Oh yeah. Yeah. You gotta
Same
get
reason
this.
you
So
was-
what school did you go? You went to?
I went to Huntington,
Oh,
which was
okay.
a private school,
Yeah.
PWI. And I
Right,
played
right.
college baseball, and I was like, man, I'm into sisters.
You better creep over there to
Right.
Alabama State, see what's happening,
Right,
man.
right.
Yeah, they gonna look at you like, where you go?
Right.
110.
Right,
Like,
right.
you like, look, I'm playing baseball.
Right, I'm playing
Okay,
baseball, and I use that every
okay.
single time. It's funny you say that. I was like, man, yeah, I play baseball there. I ain't into the school like that. But,
Right. Yeah, I ain't mad at you, bro.
That HBCU experience.
Uh-huh.
How did that cultivate you in your life as a black man?
Man, a lot. It like me being there. I was already like I was always black. Like I never like,
Right.
and I hate to say that, but I
Right,
always
no.
fit the stereo. Like kind of like yo, like you know where I'm from. Like
Right.
I got two black parents. Put it that way.
Right.
But nah, man, it just really just taught me like it was so many different versions of us.
Mm-hmm.
From so many different areas. I got to learn how DC got down. I got to learn how Chicago got down, how black people in Chicago were. I got to learn how black people in Atlanta were, how black people from the West Coast were. Like, it was all of us together. So I learned so many different versions of black and how we are and how we represent, and black people proud of where they from.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So I got to learn swag from the West Coast, from the Midwest, from all over, man, and it was dope. And it really taught me how to communicate with people from all over.
Right.
It just really kind of taught me like, yo, I can mesh well with anybody from any region.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it just taught me, yo, like, I didn't know there was rich black people. Like, we had wealthy kids that was going to Clark. Their parents was like well off. I'm like, you don't got to go to the financial aid line. They're like, man, like paid for.
Right.
Like,
you got to get financial aid. What? You don't need Pell Grant.
I ain't know that. I was like, wow.
You don't need student loans?
Yeah. So it just kind of molded me to like knowing how to just communicate and deal with us all across the board.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned how to, my thing was dealing with us. I learned how to use a sense of humor as well. That's why I really learned. Clark taught me how to talk to women.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
you ain't got no other choice. If you don't,
my game came from like at Clark freshman year. Like I studied out. Like yo, I became me and my boys. We became a pro. It was no woman we couldn't approach or talk to. We had it down, and it was just from just being around, and we just figured it out, man. So yeah.
So you guys ain't got cut down so much. Y'all had to start learning the technique.
Them nose ain't mean nothing. Them knows me yeses to us when it was holler, to me, they're like, all right, fine. Okay, here's my number. But we just, we just learned, man, just trial and error. Yeah, but we figured the formula out, man. It was cool. Yeah.
So how did you get into comedy? At what point did you say, you know what, I'm funny and I want to do this? Because you've been in the game for a while.
Yeah, 21 years. So here's the thing, man. Like, when you say stuff, but you don't really mean it. So I remember growing up, like in high school, I would tell my sister, I'm going to be a comedian. And it used to get on her nerves because she'd be like, well, you ain't going to be no comedian because I would watch comedy.
Right.
I'm like, yo, I'm going to do that one day. No, you ain't. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get on stage and be like, how y'all doing tonight? What's up? How y'all doing? And we would crack up and laugh like, yeah.
Right.
So I would say it, but not really think like I really was going to do it. And then by the time I got to college, I had a couple of friends that were going to open mics. And I was like, word, you did an open mic? And he was like, yeah. And there was this one dude named Rashawn. He was a funny dude on campus. Rashawn from South Carolina. And he was like known as the funny dude on campus. And he would always try to do comedy and just be that funny dude. And I was like, yo. And I saw the effect it had on people, man. I was like, and then I had another homeboy that went to an open mic. So I said, if they doing it and trying it, like, I'm going to try it.
Okay.
And I was working at UPS, and I was like telling him, I said, yo, I think I'm going to try stand-up. And one of my coworkers dared me. He was like, yo, I dare you to go to open mic and try it. He's like, I want to see if you really going to do it. And I was like, yo, I'll do it. And I went home, and I told my roommates, I was like, yo, I'm going to do an open mic. I'm going to do comedy. And I wrote my act down, and our house was like the party house. So every weekend we have girls and we have a group of people. So one weekend, had some girls there, my roommates there. So I went, got into the middle of the living room and I did my act for all of them. And I was like, all right, I'm ready. So I went to Uptown Comedy Corner in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, that's big time.
And did the open mic night. And actually, that first time I did it, it was a success, kinda.
Mm-hmm.
I say kinda because I had a lot of my friends there.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the laughs based off of them being there.
Friends,
then I went back that next week by myself and I got the real reality.
Right. The Apollo reality.
It ain't shit. But like it was horrible. I don't even think I got booed. I think it was like a combination of quietness, silence in the audience. And I think I heard a couple of boos as well. And I was just like, damn. So to be honest, I only did 2 shows in Atlanta. And then I ended up moving to Maryland.
Okay.
And Maryland is where I really honed my skills and learned how to be a comedian. So I'm really considered a DMV comedian because that's where I really put my work in and crafted my skills for being a comedian. Yeah.
What comedians influenced you?
Martin was the first comedian.
Oh my God.
I mean, in high school, from the time I watched the Martin show, I would go and be in class, silent. Like I would just, and everybody, you think you Martin. And Martin was my number one influence, man, when it came to comedy. And so that's who I wanted to be like. And so when I first started, I kind of had my swag, I molded my style and swag after Martin.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Of course.
You set your standards high.
Yeah, but I was like, yo, that's how I want to do it. And then of course eventually I ended up finding my own voice. But in the beginning, I was just trying to imitate Martin.
Somebody else.
I was just trying to be him. Yeah.
How did you find your own voice?
From just so there's just different levels of comedy. So for me, it was just eventually knowing what to talk about. Eventually I stopped saying funny things and started making things funny. So once I started talking about my life and what I was going through and dealing with and making that funny, that's when I started finding my own voice.
So people saw the real you.
People started seeing.
And I think that's what people do a lot of times. They imitate other people instead of imitating themselves. And people buy you first before they even buy your comedy.
Exactly. And it's normal. Any comedian you see 9 out of 10 times will say they was doing the person that they looked up to. Like they swag was after that because they don't know. They're like, yo, that's who I'm inspired by. So when I'm writing, my style is going to be like his. My stage presence is going to kind of be like his. But then, like I say, eventually you're like, okay, you start finding your own voice. So for me, it took me about 10 years.
Wow.
Before I really found my own voice and really started finding me.
How was that? Going 10 years, not really seeing, yourself reaching that pedestal that you feel like, I mean, how does, because that's, for most people, they give up.
Well, in that 10 years, I was funny as hell. I was killing. But I was killing in a different way. I was, like I said, it goes back to I was just saying things that were funny, may not necessarily be true. So it was more funny observational stuff, like a crackhead, crackheads asking you for $2. But the amount of money they ask you for what they need it for don't add up. Like crackhead asked, talk about can he get $2? He got to pay his rent next month. I'm like $2. Like I'm saying jokes like that.
Right.
Like $2 for your rent. Funny and how I delivered it is funny. But it's no different from the person who's gonna come up right after me. He could say the same joke.
Right.
Or the person before me could say the same thing. So my material is more just like some observational, just I'm saying funny stuff.
Right.
Which is funny. The audience are laughing.
Right.
But eventually I was like, yo, and it wasn't nothing, it wasn't even a conversation I had with myself. It was a natural progression because I was hosting a lot of rooms. And as I was hosting these rooms, I would have to come up with I never wanted to do really the same stuff every week,
Right.
you know. So I started talking about what was really happening in my life.
Oh.
So if I had gotten into an argument with my girl, if I got at that time got caught cheating or something, I would literally go and be like, "Yeah, man, I got caught cheating, man. My girl stole my phone," and I'm telling a real story,
Right.
and I'm hosting, and I'm like, "Yeah, but she tried to grab my phone. I got so scared I threw my phone out the window." Like I started, you know, and she'd be like, "I can't believe you talked about what happened." I'm like, "Yo," but then that's when I started finding that other muscle. I was like,
Right.
"Yo, like I can really start talking about what's happening and knowing how to make it funny." And that came from hosting. I would host every week, my own night, my own room. And I started developing. That's how I really started finding my voice,
Your voice.
my true voice. Yeah.
So you was on The Price is Right. Tell me a story about that.
The crazy
And
thing,
I want $10, by the way.
I got
I heard you.
all that money gone. The crazy thing about The Price is Right.
You was on The Price is Right?
Yeah, I used to do a joke about The Price is Right.
Seriously. Before this even happened.
Years. I had a joke about The Price is Right probably since 2000 and I would say about 2004, 2005. And this goes back to what I'm saying about finding your voice.
Right.
So I used to have a joke about The Price is Right where it was like, I wish I was white sometimes. And the audience is like, "Well, why you wish I was like?" And I was like, "Because I always wanted to go on The Price is Right, and win, but black people don't win on The Price is Right because black people don't know prices.
Right.
You know, we know street value."
Right.
I had a bit, and one of the like everybody loved that Price is Right bit, right?
Yeah.
Fast forward 2020, I really get on The Price is Right. I'm like, yo, and not only did I get on it, I won. I'm like, yo. It's like I just manifested me being on The Price is Right. So now when I do that joke, I really tell I had to change it based on me really being on The Price is Right. So I tell the whole story, what happened, how I won, and I still got the joke that how I did it, but I switch it up.
Switched it around.
And really make it about me really being on there, man. And boy, that was a shock. Like, people still know, but like, that's a big deal.
I know it is.
If I don't never win an Oscar or get
or a Grammy,
or
nothing.
Anything, like,
or Emmy.
Nigga, I won The Price is Right.
Right.
I'm the GOAT.
Right. How many people can say that?
Yeah, right.
So you tell this joke about Mad Dog 2020, man. I thought that joke was so funny. When you talk about MD 2020, when it was actually when in the hood, like it wasn't the person that you thought that bought that you was buying from. You remember it was Megan, I think you said it was Mogan David that created Mad Dog 2020.
Oh, you talking about? I was like, yo, you talking about on my Instagram?
Right.
I had did a Instagram post about the Mad Dog 2020. Right. Yeah, you know, with my Instagram stuff, what I usually try to do, I try to find different memes and different things, and then I'll speak on it. So I remember I had did the post about the MD 2020, man, which. And let me put this out there. Don't drink that. It's a poison to the community.
It is a poison.
But that's everybody's first go-to drink when they first start drinking the Mad Dog 2020.
It's cheap, inexpensive. People
$2-3. You could give a crackhead $5. He'll go in there and buy it for you because at that time you can't buy liquor and you let him keep the change.
Right.
Yeah.
How did social media change the game for you? Like, what did it? Because I know you wasn't on social media at one point in time. What made you get on social media, and how did it change the game for you?
So I was always on social media, but I was on social media doing what I wanted to do. Like, I'll post a picture of a sandwich or, I was never really like, I'm going to use social media to gain audience, but then I started seeing people using social media to gain an audience, and they was killing.
Right.
I say, yo, I better get my ass on this damn social media train. And believe it or not, man, for me, and my numbers still ain't what I want them to be, but I've had some videos that went viral, and to be honest, like social media is about consistency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, it has helped the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it has harmed the game all at the same time. So the people who have been able to eat off of social media is helping them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But it microwaved the process
mm-hmm.
of
A
to
true
me
being a true comic.
of being a true comic.
Right.
You know, like, you know, back in the day, we had to, you know, either move to New York or move to LA.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now you got people in Ohio that just in Ohio and all they got is their phone and they got the time to put, you know, that consistent work in to gain all these followers. And now they're funny. And a lot of times they just found that algorithm.
Right.
And, you know, so, but with us and with people, you know, before me.
That are true to this.
It's like, you know, we really put that work in and we got funny before we got the audience.
Right.
Them people got the audience before they got funny. And now comedy clubs don't even care no more. They don't care about, you know, the quality. They care about quantity. So if this person could sell seats and do this and do that, that's all they care about. They just care about seats, putting, you know, asses in seats now. So that show could be trash. But at the end of the day, you know, and I realize when you get a fan base, your fan base is loyal, whether you're funny or not. So when I first started doing my videos, I was like, I don't know if they funny and and my boy Boogie B, rest in peace. He was like, yo, just put it out there. It don't gotta be funny. Right. And I was looking at people videos. I was like, that ain't funny. But they got millions of views, all these comments. And it's just like, yo, they just like that person.
Right.
And once you get that fan base, they're going to be loyal with you, whether it's good or not. So that's when I just started putting my stuff out there.
And you talked about Boogie Boo. We're going to get into that. And he said, I remember he talked about you going viral. One time.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So the first time I went viral, I think it was like 2022. I was hosting a show at the Laugh Factory on Chocolate Sundays. And it was a gay couple, but I didn't know they were gay. So I'm just doing my regular, going through the crowd, talking shit. And I ran across them and I was like, oh, y'all came by yourself. Y'all must be looking for the chicks, huh? They was like, no, we're together. And I was like, what? So natural reaction, didn't know. And that shit took off. Went viral on Instagram, TikTok, over 20-something, 30, 40 million views.
Wow. So what was that? What was it? They were like, no, this is my dude.
Yeah, he was like, no, this is my, no, we're together. And I was like, well, y'all together? Like, yeah. I was like, God damn, like, I was like, you know, and I was just like, y'all throwing everybody off, you know, because they was two nice looking brothers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Pause. But you know what I mean? It's all right. Yeah, they was, you know. So I was happy. I was like, well, hey, I mean, y'all ain't going to take my girl, you know.
Right.
But, and I didn't know it was going to go viral. But I Chocolate Sundays posted it. I posted it, and the joint just took off that day. And Boogie was like, yo, he would call me. He was like, yo, it's at 10 million now. Yo, it's at 15 million now. Because I was excited because Boogie had plenty of videos that had went viral at that time. So I was trying to still figure it out. Right. And so when that took off, I was excited. I lost a lot of sleep, though, because I read every comment. On every platform. And I responded. Anybody that had some shit to say, I responded to everybody. Like, kiss my ass and your mama. F you and your mama, ho.
So how did you meet Boogie?
Boogie? So Boogie B, man. I met Boogie in DC.
And condolences.
I appreciate it. I met him in DC and I think it was probably like 2005. He was just coming from Katrina. And we were doing I was doing an open mic in Annapolis, Maryland, and he was there performing for like the second time ever. And he stunk it up. And I was just at the bar drinking a beer, looking at him, watching him, and I was just laughing. Anytime you see somebody stinking it up, we get back there laughing. And the host, Kevin Lee, a legend, he started talking shit about Boogie. So Boogie got mad. And he kind of walked over to the bar, and I was just like, hey, man, like, it's part of the game. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about bombing. It's all good. And then I went up, and, you know, I had a pretty good set back then for what it was back then. And I'm sure if I heard that set now, I would cream, you know. But he was like, damn, dog, you funny, dog. I was like, yo, man, I've been doing this for a while.
Right.
I'm probably about 4 years in at that time, 4 or 5 years in. And, you know, he was like, yo, can you help me? Help me write? And I was like, yeah, I got you. Wow. And from that point on, man, we was like, you know, freaking frack, man. If anybody booked me, it was always Trey and Boogie from that point on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you remember where you were when you got the call that something had happened to him?
Yeah. I was actually just landed in Atlanta.
Mm.
And me and my girl, I was going to my mom's for Christmas for the holidays. So we went grabbed some food at Phipps Plaza. We went to the Cheesecake Factory. I remember Phipps Plaza. So then I was like, all right, let's go drive to Macon because that's where my mom lives. So, we had about an hour, 20, 30-minute ride. We stopped because I was like, yo, we don't have our Christmas pajamas. So we stopped somewhere along the route of Macon and got some Christmas PJs, whatever, from like a TJ Maxx, whatever. So I get in the car and we about maybe 40 minutes from my mom. And I get a text message and it was a screenshot of somebody posting something on Facebook that was like, yo, they just killed comedian Boogie Montreal. Boogie's real name is Brandon.
Right.
So I read it and I called the person who sent that to me. I was like, yo, what is this? He was like, yo, somebody just sent it to me because they know I'm a comedian. So I'm sending it to you so you can find out what's going on. Then I called his mom and she was en route to the police station. And then my phone just started blowing up from like different comedians. It was like, hey, I pretty much got the confirmation. And I was just like, it was weird. So I get to my mom's house and I call the crew en route.
Right.
To tell them what happened. I called Boogie's girlfriend. She had no idea. And that's the thing when you call somebody and they just answer the phone regular, like, hey, Trey.
Right.
And then you about to deliver
that kind of
worst news ever. So, I call the crew. And it's funny, when shit like that happen, nobody ever answers the first ring. So you keep like, yo, calling them.
Right.
Call everybody I called didn't answer at first. So I'm sending text messages, yo, y'all call me ASAP. And so then once I got the news to everybody, I get to my mom's house. My mom, of course, happy to see me. Then my son and his girlfriend just got there and everybody happy. Hey. And then I'm walking in, and me and my girl walking in, just looking sad. It's like, what's wrong? Then I tell her the news that, Boogie got shot and killed. And it was just like, so that whole time, it was just trying to figure out how to enjoy the holidays with that news, cloud, being over us. But, and then it was a trying time because my phone rang nonstop for days. So everybody knew, especially all the comedians, I'm the GOAT. Like, they know how close we were. So everybody would call me, well, what happened? Is this true? What happened? And, so it was a trying time, man. Then my birthday was on the 30th. So people calling, to find out about Boogie, get more information about Boogie. And I'm like, yo, I got to take today off. It was my birthday, so I got to kind of take today off. But I made it my business to try to answer as many phone calls and respond to as many texts as I possibly could because I knew, people really wanted to know. So I took that responsibility,
How do you deal with something as traumatic as that? Because a lot of times people, go through those type of situations and they really don't know how to handle those type of situations. What did you do, and how could you help someone else that's going through something as traumatic as
well, for me, how I handled it, I mean, it's weird because I'm still dealing with it.
Right.
I've had so many tragic things that had happened to me. Like, so
your best friend Kenyon.
My best friend Kijo.
Right.
He got shot and killed February 15th, 2020. Right before the pandemic started. So that was the first. So that was the first, like, yo, Wendell Clark, my brother. So that was very hard. It was like, damn, I always thought we would all be 70, 80, 90, like, So for me, when that happened, the world shut down. So I had time to kind of just sit in my thoughts because wasn't nothing going on in the world. We couldn't go outside. So I was forced to really sit there in my thoughts about Kijo. Like, all right, he's not here. I'm trying to get used to that. And, I kind of had time to deal with it. With Boogie, you know, we in full-fledged, world is going, I'm on tour. It's like, you know, everything. And Kijo wasn't in the limelight. Boogie was.
Right.
So when Boogie got killed, I got newspapers calling me, reporters calling me, comedians calling me, everybody calling me.
Wow.
And it was just hard. It was hard. And then, so after Kijo got killed, I started with a therapist, but it was virtual. So I wasn't really getting I was like, eh.
So you did get help.
Yeah, I did get help, but
good.
I wasn't feeling it because I'm a face-to-face type of guy.
Right.
And then when Boogie got killed, I was like, all right. And then when Boogie got killed, it was just like, all right, I'm right back on stage. I'm like, you know, I'll be on stage, do my show, and then break down. You know what I mean? It was just like the first show I did after Boogie got killed. We was, you know, we always do our New Year's Eve tour, and it was just like, yo, so I was around my guys, Tony Rock, Joe Fox, and all us. So we was all together, and you know, they just made sure I was good, but it was still very emotional. And then fast forward, you know, I don't know if you know my sister
Kim.
My sister Kim.
Alexis.
She passed away July 24th.
Wow.
Of this, of this
year.
Yeah, unexpectedly. So it was like, yo.
She used to be at all your shows, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, every time I was in Atlanta, she would be there. You know, and Kim was there with me because, you know, her and Kijo was close. Her and Boogie was close. So she was there with me at Kijo's funeral. She was there with me at Boogie's funeral. She came to New Orleans for the funeral. And so, you know, Kim was my first best friend. You know, that was my older sister. She's 3 years older. So I did everything she did. So for me, Boogie and Kim death was so close. So I'm still processing Boogie than my sister. So I was just like, yo, I ain't know what to do, man. And still to this day, I'm like, I don't know. So a lot of times right now, I'm at a point where I'm like an empty shell just going with emotions. But now I have my therapist consistently now. I got a face-to-face therapist. I got a Black woman, you know what I mean? Yeah. And, you know, so I'm about probably 4 sessions in. Good. And
was this your first time going through therapy?
No. I had a therapist. I had my first therapist, I was in middle school. I had a therapist in middle school. I had some trauma. It's weird. Like, I was scared to eat. So I had I was eating. I was in the 5th grade. Summer after the 5th grade, I was eating some bologna. And the bologna had the...
Was it fried?
Yeah. No, it was raw. Regular slice from the deli. And it had the red string around the bologna.
Oh, yeah. You got to take that off.
I ain't take it off. I just went and ate it. And that string got caught in my throat. And so I was choking on it. And so then my stepbrother, he came and, you know, got it out. And so I was fine for like a few days. But then after that, I felt like everything I was eating, I was choking.
Right.
So I really was scared to swallow. Pause. I was scared, you know. I was scared to, you know, eat. I was scared to, you know, swallow any food that I was eating. And this was going on. So you know how Black people are. They're like, why you ain't eating?
Right.
Or why you holding the food in your mouth? I was like, you don't really know what to say or how to express it. But so one day I remember I just broke down crying, and my mom was like, what's wrong? I was like, I'm scared to eat. I'm scared to swallow. I feel like I'm choking on everything. Right. And so then, you know, when you deal with trauma, you got to remember it's going to be your mom first time dealing with trauma because they're dealing with your trauma and they don't know how to handle it, what to do. So my mom was like trying to take me all these specialists to see if my throat was fine and all it is. So after a couple of months of just trying to figure it out, she finally was like, yo, I think you need to see a therapist. And yep, that's exactly what I needed. So every Wednesday before school, my mom would take me to see my therapist, Dr. Guerrero. And I would have an hour session with him. I think it was every Wednesday morning. And it worked eventually, you know.
Yeah.
He, you know, because a lot of times the trauma is coming from something else. So it's like, it wasn't that I probably was necessarily scared to eat. That's what my mind made me think, but it was some other stuff probably. And after a while, I started eating. And so that was my first time ever dealing with a therapist back then.
How was the household conversation like with you and your mom before you even got therapy? Like, did you guys talk about those type of things, or how did it come about?
Well, so a Black household is a collective household. So you got grandma,
Right.
you got
Auntie.
sister, you got, and my mom was married to my stepfather at that time. So we had a blended family. So I got older stepbrothers. And
Right.
so it's like everything. Everybody like, yo, why, they try to figure this out. Why you ain't eating? Why you ain't? And, so the first thing we gonna go to is Jesus. We go to God.
Right.
So
you gonna pray about
Jesus, my grandmother.
We're gonna take this off of him.
This
in the name of Jesus.
So it's that's all it is.
Right.
Ain't no other conversation.
Right. Jesus. Right.
And it's like, Jesus, like, hey, look, I'm trying to provide y'all with some other tools.
Right.
But that's what it was. It was just like, yo, we gonna pray. And
we're gonna pray
and it was just like, well, but why? You ain't choking. You ain't gonna choke. Like, well what's going, they not realizing that it's really a mental situation going on. So that's what it was. Just a bunch of praying. And once they realized that the prayer wasn't the only tool that they needed, and hats off to my mom, because my mom was, very my mom was, traveled. She was a mother who had resources. She had a good job, insurance. So she had white co-workers. So that's important. So, white maybe he needs a therapist, too many black people just ain't going, especially back then, they just ain't going to think of that on their own.
Right.
So, yeah. So eventually, I don't know how my mom came to that conclusion, but she did and I'm very thankful that she did. And that's what it worked.
So you talk about your sister, and I saw every birthday you would cry on her birthday.
Every birthday,
What was that about?
Because I was a baby and spoiled. Then she would get all the attention, and I wasn't getting it. So she would get presents again, and I'd be mad because I ain't getting no gift on her birthday. I'd be like, damn. It's a picture somewhere. I don't know where that picture is, Lord. But on her birthday, you can see them handing her a gift, and you can see me in there crying in the back. I swear, I wish I knew where that picture was. And but yeah, this is because I was just a spoiled kid, a spoiled little brother.
Yeah.
And I wanted to always be about me. So I used to, her birthday was the worst day of my life back then. Like, God dang. She getting all the phone calls, the cake, the gifts. I ain't getting shit. You know what I mean? So yeah.
So how is it not having her at the show? And I mean, how do you deal with it?
Well, the funny thing, man, I have not yet done a show in Atlanta since she's been gone. But it's not going to be, it's going to be hard. I actually did a show in Baltimore, and all her friends and some of my cousins surprised me at the show a couple of weeks ago. And that damn near tore me up. Like, I almost cracked 3 times on stage when I saw, because I didn't know they were there. And then I'm on stage and I can see the table. I'm like, yeah, I look like so-and-so. That's so-and-so. They all got their shirts on with my sister's picture on there.
Wow.
And boy, I got off that stage, and that I had to let a few loose in that green room, because I was just so happy and so overjoyed. But it's going to be tough. My journey and my road for grieving is going to be a long road, because, like I said, my sister was my
your everything.
She was my everything.
Yeah.
She
had a great spirit, from what I can see.
Oh
man,
just great,
good energy.
Yes, and we got that from each other, man. Like, I got that from her, and she had a sense of humor and so many inside jokes that we have and had, and and it's just like somebody, all your life, part of you is gone. So it's like half of your childhood is now gone. He's like, damn, and I always thought, it was just me and her. So when you go from having a sibling to now kind of being the only child, it's a lot of pressure and a lot of things that you deal with. My dad, my mom and my dad got divorced when I was like 3. Kim was like 7. But Kim was gonna take care of my dad. We all knew that. So I was like, yo, dad,
not you.
You going to like, yeah. My dad would call me. I'd be like, I'll call him back. My mom called me. I'm like, hey, ma, you good? My dad called. I call him back. My dad always called me. I ain't heard from you coming. Yeah, like I'm busy, Pop. I got it ain't nothing personal.
Wait. No, this is how
it's what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just what it is, man.
Yeah.
But but so we always knew that Kim was going to be the one to take care of Dad. So,
Right.
my dad ain't really getting on no plane. So he lives in North Carolina. So he'll just get on the bus or the train, go to Atlanta,
Right.
be with Kim. So now it's like, yo, like for him, he calls me, damn near every day. So now I have that responsibility now where I have to pick up the phone.
Wow,
You
that
all right? You the
relationship.
good dad? You straight? My mom is good. My mom is very strong. My mom has smiled through the whole thing. I've seen her crack a few times, but only for a split second. But even at her viewing, her homegoing service, she just smiled. My mom is just very, very strong. Very resilient, and so yeah.
Kind of take me into your relationship with your dad and your father, and I know you got a 21-year-old.
23.
23?
Yeah, Bryce is
Okay.
23.
And how does that help you as a father?
So my dad is a Walter Wan person. My mom and my dad got divorced when I was, like I said, 3. Kim was going on 7. Or let's just say that's when they separated. And then my dad is born and raised in North Carolina. So when they separated, he moved back to North Carolina. So I would only really see my dad twice a year. Every Christmas, he would come to Jersey. Because his brothers and sisters, my aunts and my uncles, once he left, they stepped up big time. So my dynamic of knowing, like, my mom was very close to my aunts and uncles. So growing up, I thought that my dad, brothers and sisters were blood related to my mom. I didn't know the dynamic. That's how close, like, they really stepped up. So I thought it was just all like a blood,
Right.
I didn't realize that this is my mom's in-laws.
Right.
Yeah. But my dad, I would see him twice a year, man, Christmas, and then we would go there for the summertime in North Carolina. But that was cool, man. But my dad had his own issues, my dad struggled at points with, alcohol, stuff like that, man. So my dad, it was never a question as far as my dad loving us. My dad would call all the time.
Right.
And me and Kim stay with my grandmother during the week, so we go to the good school. So he would call all the time, and
they would love the hardest. The people that had those type of addictions, they love hard.
So to this day, I use this saying called "juiced up," and that was me and Kim saying. So anybody around me all the time, they're gonna always hear "juiced up," and they start saying it. And this is where this came from. My grandmother would be like, your father called here today juiced up. She would tell it to me, Kim, your father called here today juiced up. From the time he was little, we would hear that all the way.
So you knew what that meant.
I knew what that meant. And so all the way up until Kim passed, it'd be like, you talked to dad? It'd be like, yeah, was he juiced up? It'd be like, a little bit. Like, so those are some of the things. So, anytime you hear somebody around and you hear juiced up, that's where that came from my grandmother. And yeah, man, so my dad always, he'd call half drunk, like, hey, but we always knew he loved us.
Right.
That was never a question, but he just didn't hold his responsibility down as a dad. I mean, we got child support, but that shit was like $70 a week, for me and my sister, So like, he just couldn't get it together in that sense. So he wasn't a dad we could rely on. Like, he'll be like, yo, when we got to college, he'll be like, yeah, I send you your rent money, but
wasn't nothing after that.
It wasn't that one.
Right.
We wouldn't get the first one. We'll still be waiting on it. And like, I thought you said you put it in the mail. Like, we could never really rely on him to take care of us. But we knew he loved us. So it was just like, so my dad kind of was like my little brother in a sense, man. It's just like, when he would come visit, we would, make sure he was good. It ain't like he coming like, all right, look, I left you $100 to make sure y'all get groceries in the house, or look, and look, I'm here some gas money, or it was never like that. It was kind of like, yo, Dad, you got enough money to make it back to North Carolina? No, all right, here, take this 100. And I struggle with it at times. At one point I struggled with it a lot. It was kind of like, yo. And then the older I get now, it's kind of like, I understand life. I understand, you know, situations.
Mm-hmm.
And it was never really a trip on him and my mom not being together, but it was just more so like, yo, like, hold us down. Like, when we need you, I need you to be there for us. Like, if you're not going to be there physically, you know, make sure we good, whatever. And we've talked about it. My dad, you know, my dad now is a preacher. You know, he preaches. He still get juiced up, but you know, he gets in that pulpit. He'll do his thing. He's very smart. But you know, he dealt with his own trauma. You know, he's seen his own mother, my grandmother, his mom died in his arms. You know, his father died when he was like 13, 14. So, you know, people carry those traumas,
from generations to generations.
Yeah, and he just couldn't hold it down as being the dad that we needed. But with that being said, he was the dad that we needed because it made me be the father that I am to my son.
How did you do that? Not really have, because you are a great dad, man.
Yeah, man.
You are an awesome father. Yeah. I mean, for his graduation, I saw what you did for for his college graduation. You stepped it up. Like you
listen.
Like, you know, you go against all the stigmas that are placed on black men as not being good fathers, as not being good dads. That's not you. How did you do that, being that you didn't come from that?
I always knew that I would, you know, do something different. I without having the dad the way I needed my dad, I knew that I would have to be the dad that I needed or wanted for my child. And so, yeah, man. So from day one, I was like, yo, I got you. And it was a moment, like I said, when I moved here. I moved here when my son was 10. So, which was hard to do, but it was more so I made a choice because for career purposes, and he stayed, in Maryland. So that was probably the hardest thing that I ever did as a parent or had to do, was to leave him, to go from being that everyday parent to coming out here to pursue my career. But I knew I was doing it for a good reason. Exactly. I knew it wasn't, the fact that, and I made it my business and make sure that, hey, like he would come to Cali all the time. I would fly out there, I would always like let him know that my presence is here. So we never really had those issues. So then once, my career started getting better, and as he got older and whatever, now it's like to a point to where I'm doing everything that I would have wanted my dad to do. Like, you turning 21, we going to Vegas. We going to ball out. We going to have a ball. You know what I mean? You graduated college, man, that's a huge accomplishment. Yo, we going to go. We going to turn up. We going to have a ball. But that's just on the outside. Inside, I'm on them. Like, yo, hey. Yeah, we gotta do this. What we doing? You know what I mean? What's the game plan?
That level of respect still as a father.
Yeah. Me and my son we got the best relationship, man. And we talk about whatever, anything, and and it's funny because now his friends.
I see he has a little girlfriend.
Got a girlfriend.
Where you was a little player.
Yeah,
how did he come into being like, okay, I just want one girl. I ain't trying to kick it with, you ain't trying to. I ain't trying to go to Freaknik. I ain't trying to be down in Daytona. I ain't trying to be in Miami.
He did everything I did. Everything I did. Yeah. Everything I did, man. I was all over the spring break. I was all everywhere.
I know. I was in Daytona, so I know what you were doing,
man. You know what? I think
Black
now
college weekend.
He got a girlfriend now. I love his girlfriend Tiara, but I think with him though, he's starting to he's spoiled,
right?
So when he go out with me, bottles, tables, right. So he's like, yo, right. But his girl ain't gonna be too far from him,
right.
And even when she ain't around, he be real chill. Now, with that being said, I hope, because he's 23, she's 23, and I love them together. I'm like, yo, that's gonna be the one. I want y'all to get through it, but I just hope that any, we're growing as a man. We get into shit. Right. I'm just hoping that he'll know how to figure out how to maneuver. But I would have my son and expose him to certain things, just so he can be ready for certain situations, man, to maintain his.
But you didn't want to be a player like
oh, and I ain't a player now no more. I ain't
a player no more. You sound like Joe.
Yeah, but to be honest, I wanted him to experience some of those things, because I don't want him to ever get to a point to where he felt like he's missing out on something.
Right.
But my son is good, man. He was just at the Howard homecoming last night.
Oh.
I called him this morning. He was like, I was just woke up. Where was you at Howard homecoming? So I want him to do all that.
Right.
You know, because his college experience wasn't like mine. He went to PWI.
Oh, he did?
So
Okay.
his experience wasn't like mine.
Right.
He, but now he got his little core group of friends and
Right.
stuff like that. And so he's good. He's good. He's gonna be a sports agent.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This
So
is
that's
the place
his
for him to
goal.
be then.
His ultimate goal is to be a general manager of a sports team, but he wants to start off being a sports agent. So
I love
we're
it.
working to make that happen for him.
I love it. I call this section Dyson's Tea.
Okay.
And so with that being said, I want you to...
It's a green tea. What kind of tea we got here?
It's my tea, but we'll take a sip of it.
All right. Get it?
And I got some real questions for you.
Okay.
And they got to be some truthful questions that you got to come real with it. And you got to be 1,000 with it.
All right, so I can't lie. All
Nah,
right, I
you
got you.
can't
I
lie.
got you.
What is the worst thing you did in Myrtle Beach?
All right. It wasn't Myrtle. It was Daytona. So let me say Daytona.
Okay.
I lied and told a girl that I was Pusha T from the Clips, and she believed me. And let's leave it at that. I don't want to be incriminated, but yeah, she thought I was the rapper from the Clips, Pusha T. I had braids and cornrows back then.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh man, everybody thought I was VIP club on. Yeah, so
Trust me, I've been there. Everybody used to think I was either Common, Mark Jackson, some of them guys,
Yeah, man.
Carlos Boozer, so I got it.
Yep.
1999,
Mhm.
Indecent Exposure.
That was Daytona. Man, you done your research for real. So Daytona Beach, spring break. Got a red cup in my hand, drinking, middle of the street. Some girls they flashed me. I'm like, yo, flash. That's what it's all about out there. They show me their titties, and they was like, well, let's see what you got. Let's see, you got me showing you. Let me see what you got. I'm in the middle of the street, cup in my hand, pulls my man's out of the middle of the street, cop right there.
What?
Oh, no, let's go. I try to walk away. He's like, no, let's go. I'm like, yo, where we going? I saw what you did. I was like, yo, you ain't see them titties though? Like, you gonna take me and don't take? And they locked me up. They put me in the paddy wagon with a whole bunch of other niggas that did some dumb shit at Daytona. And they took us to the holding cell. And I was in there for about an hour. Then they released me. They was like, "What you do?" I'm like, "I pulled my dick out." They was like, "You can't be pulling your dick out." I'm like, "Listen, man, we having a good ass time." Then I had to walk back to the beach. Mind you, the ride to the holding cell was like 20 minutes away. I had to walk. So I'm just walking, don't know where I'm going. Ain't no cell phones with no that. I don't know where I'm going. Then a car full of girls passed me. I waved like, hey. They stopped. I said, yo, y'all going to the beach? They said, yeah. I said, can I ride with y'all? They was like, come on. They took me back to the beach and went back to partying like nothing happened. And then one of my homeboys got locked up right after I got locked up. And then a couple hours later, when I get back to the beach, here he comes. Yo! Oh man, best times, man. Yeah.
Top 3 comedians alive right now.
Top 3. Well, I gotta always go with Martin because he's my inspiration.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with Chappelle, and I'm gonna go with Chris Rock.
Tell everybody what you got going on. What's coming up?
What I got going on? So
Trey.
we on the Rock the Mic tour.
I love it.
Yeah, man. So that tour, I mean,
And that's with Tony Rock, right?
That's with Tony Rock, the big bro Tony Rock, man. So and
Chris
my guy
Rock's brother.
Yeah, Chris Rock's brother. But Tone has been killing it, man. So it's me, him, and my guy Joe Fox.
Okay.
So we already got dates. We're well into dates for next year already.
Wow.
So yeah, man. So the Rock the Mic tour. So that's the biggest thing that we're doing. We also got a podcast we're about to start called Live from the Green Room. So we start that in November. And with this strike, I'm just waiting for the strike to be over so I can get back to auditioning and booking some roles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chris Rock.
Mm.
I know you just mentioned that. Tell me how you felt about the slap with Will Smith.
Well,
Keep it real now.
Here's the thing. I've never talked about it publicly because I'm in both in the middle, kind of in a weird way. You know, Dwayne Martin is one of my closest friends.
Okay.
Dwayne Martin is like my mentor, who's best friends with Will.
Okay.
Then I tour with Tony, Chris Rock's brother. So I always just kind of stayed out. Now, at the end of the day, the slap was definitely uncalled for. It was unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's just like, yo, but yeah.
Okay,
so
I need you to say an answer here. Like,
I felt like it was unnecessary. It was uncalled for, man. But you know, it's always backstories.
mm-hmm.
But I just felt like it probably should have been handled away from the cameras if
Right.
it was a problem.
Man to man.
Man to man, yeah.
Right.
It could have been all the slapping in the world, but it should have been done
Right behind the
backstage,
cage.
man to man. And give both sides the opportunity to square up if that's
Exactly.
what was going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Trey, I'm glad you came, man. I'm so excited to have you. I welcome you back at any time. And,
Please, man.
Again, thanks for coming to see us, and look forward to having you. And we're gonna be looking out for you coming soon.
Yeah, please do, man. Follow me on all my platforms, man. I got a lot more Daytona stories. So
yeah.
So we gotta have a part 2 just off of Daytona story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, dog.
My guy. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's love. This is the Brent Dyson Show.